Hello, solutionaries. Welcome to the Awaken Sponda podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Arlen Ruddy. Thank you for joining us and thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the podcast, Awaken Sponda is a platform that's dedicated to supporting those on their spiral to wholeness through sharing stories, wisdom, and knowledge that can be directly applicable for generating and creating more energetic freedom within the self. Here we make the unconscious conscious daily, so if you are down with that sort of thing, then you may want to stick around to see what we got in store. In today's episode, we are talking to Sarah Poe of POES for Peace. Sarah and her daughter Monet are best known for their mentorship courses in divine alchemy. This is a sacred remembrance and a journeying through the soul's divine blueprint, using sidereal astrology, human design, gene keys, and more. Sarah is an amazing soul, an amazing friend, and just really a passionate feminine in the community. Ever since I've known her, she's been this way. It never changed. Very consistent. And so I'm excited to have her on, and I hope to have her on many times to come and just continue the circle. So let's get into it. All right, we are here with Sarah Poe, and we are super excited to share today. We're in gratitude mode right off the rip, so this is beautiful. Sarah, how you feeling?
I'm feeling so good.
Good. All right, so as we know, Sarah works in all kinds of realms, but more in, I guess, the sacred sciences, as you would put it. Yes, which I love that terminology of it. But I wanted to kind of, as we go into this, straight up, like, where is the sun? Where is the sun today on March 8th, 2022?
It's a good first question.
Yeah.
So the sun is in Aquarius. If we're looking at the planets and the stars as far as astronomers would be looking, and we take our star app out and we look to the sun is sitting in Aquarius. It moved into Aquarius February 14th, and it transitions to Pisces March 15th.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right. So with that said, now, could you tell us, and I've talked to Kyrie, obviously I've had Kyrie on talking about Sidereal, and he tells me, I've asked him to kind of explain a little bit the difference of tropical and sidereal, as far as how we view it and how that whole thing. So can you give me, from your perspective, the difference between tropical astrology and sidereal astrology?
Yeah, so to do that, we need to go back in history a little bit and have this like a little mini history lesson. Okay. And so we'll say that astrology was one of our first, not the first sacred science that we know, at least the first that's written. Right?
Exactly.
Before that, we had oral history, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about the astrology that we use now, the origination of that was sidereal, and it was actually initiated by Yeshua, by Jesus.
Okay.
Because of the star of the Magi.
Okay, so I'm going to have to ask about this, because a lot of people will be like, what is she talking about? Now, could you explain a little bit about what that is, the Magi?
Yeah, so the Magi, we know the three wise men. Everybody that knows Christmas knows who the story of the three wise men, the three Magi, the wisdom keepers who had followed the star to find baby Jesus, or Yeshua.
Gotcha.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the transmission for that, the channeling, the voice of God, the message of God, to know about that, where did that come from? How did somebody know to look for this star?
Right.
So Zoroaster was the first Magi that received a channeling, a message from God that said to start to sit and pray with the stars, to start to meditate with the stars, to start to look up. Gotcha. And when that occurred, he started to receive messages from the planets, to receive those kind of visions. Just like we read in the Bible how different people in the Bible had visions. Zoroaster had the vision of the Christ that would be embodied in human form, a love leader, somebody that was going to come in this form. When we look to indigenous cultures, they also, in oral history, when I went to Standing Rock and talked to Lakota medicine men, they also have an oral history to look for the stars.
Right.
Yes, so they knew that. But in that time, then what he came was Zoroaster trained the Magi. He trained the wisdom keepers to look, to know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot to unpack there. It sounds
Uh-huh.
like. Yeah. That's incredible. So now, okay. I'm like, where to go from here with this sidereal? You had mentioned to me about the Galactic Center.
Mm-hmm.
Now can you tell me how that may be different from? Is there a different form of sidereal?
Yeah. So there's now different types of sidereal.
Okay.
Right. Different ways. Of course, as we know, science. So this is a science. This is a sacred science. So all different scientists have used their own mathematics to right. So I use the Galactic Center as the type of sidereal that I use because it is the central sun. It is the center, the 0 point of our galaxy. If you might,
that's
say
beautiful.
that,
Yeah,
right. It's our central sun.
Yes,
the heart of Christ, right?
Yeah.
And when we know the true sidereal, and we look at where Sagittarius is around Christmas. At Christmas, we're in Sagittarius, right? And where does the arrow point?
Right there.
To the galactic center, to the central sun. So that is when I got that. I received that in the last past year. That is the type of astrology that I was here to receive and work through.
Yeah. And so, like when you say Christ, I know that's probably a trigger word for a lot of people. We know that. So what's another way you would describe Christ in general, like from an energetic standpoint with it? Is there any?
Christ, we could go deep here.
Christos, yeah.
When we start thinking about etymology, like how words are formed, we think of Christ, we think of crystal, crystalline. So the Christ is actually in everything. I mean, there's crystals that make our phones work.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like a crystal bowls. That's what
Christ. Christ in my simplest terms. The highest form, like the creation, the God-centered, like what flows in and through us, the core is the Christ. Right? So Yeshua, I like to say Christ Jesus. I know people say Jesus Christ, but Christ lived in the body of Jesus, right? So Christ was embodied with Jesus fully.
And going into the light, that all makes sense. So we're all crystalline bodies, or that's what we are. So it is the Christos, really.
The Christos.
Yes.
So like I feel like, you know that I started this journey into this several years ago, and I continue to evolve in it. And I was using sidereal in the beginning, and then around my birthday last year, had this download to like really look at each one of the ways that we can calculate.
Okay.
And that's when I found this
form of calculation.
And not even from the lens of what I know now, but from the feeling. Like when I wrote my charts out in that, I started crying. I had the soul chills.
It just
and there was a knowing in me, like a knowing within me, like this is it, this is the truth. And then Spirit, a couple months later, brought the books and the teachers and this next part of the knowing of it.
So it started with the just kind of opening that perception, really, to like even understanding what sidereal, what is true sidereal astrology. That's what you'll find probably more popular, I guess. If popular would be the word. It's not very popular at all, to be honest, at this point. But it's growing. I think more people are starting to kind of want to understand it, or to understand it, as I like to put it. But so what is the difference then between like what would you say the difference between a true sidereal or Vedic? Yeah,
they have their own.
Are they? So they're all different systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel like these systems all kinds? What I constantly find is like the systems all basically end up to the same place. We're all doing the same thing. It's just coming from a different viewing, I guess. Or does that make sense? Yeah, because you have like in the Indian culture, it's just there's a whole different, I guess that would be Vedic astrology.
Vedic astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think the most important thing is that we start, it's this as above, right?
Yeah.
And as above, so below.
Yes.
On earth as it is in heaven.
Yes.
Right? That is my prayer, right?
Yeah.
And so when we start to look up again, this is when we're going to understand, at least start with the shifting that we're not, to not use the tropical anymore.
Yes.
To really shift into the awareness of sidereal.
Yes.
There's and that requires us to shed what we think we know, to really die.
You mean, this is the ego death of like, I know what all the tropical signs are like.
Yeah.
I know your personality.
No, I meet people and they're like, no, I know I'm a Gemini.
Right.
No, I'm definitely a Leo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you had asked me like when I was younger, and I was studying tropical and I was a Libra, I resonated with Libra, but that's what See, you don't know. It's just like, it's any kind of... It's just, it all goes back to making the unconscious conscious. Because if you don't know and you don't have the awareness, then you only know what you know, and so that's how you associate things. So really, when it comes down to, even like when we talk about the nakshatras, all the things, it's like, they're all these characteristics, yes, but then like, how do we bring it to light, and how do we like work with it? Because it's not like we're just this one thing and we're just going to be this. We actually shift and morph, I think, as much as we want to grow, right? Or expand or understand things. Understand it, because you understand it's one thing. Understanding it is like bringing it in, and that's where the awareness and the knowingness, like you're saying, comes. So yeah, making those, I guess, starting, say, like with something like the sidereal, and then begin to look up, and then begin to question, and begin to find out what you're new, maybe you are something different in sidereal. Maybe that's to be looked at, because I could say when I looked at my sidereal chart, I'm like, oh my God, like it resonated with exactly where I was in my life at this juncture, like more so, and gave me more depth of understanding myself. So
yeah, well, when we look, here's the big shift that happened in our history. We stopped looking up, and we only were focused down.
Right.
So what happened when Claudius Ptolemy, who started the tropical astrology, he didn't mean he was a mathematician. He was a scientist. He was like, I'm going to create this map so that everybody would have this map.
Okay.
And when he did that, we were almost in alignment, with the vernal point. Well, we were almost in alignment with sidereal. We were 1 degree off. So at that moment, what he didn't know.
So in that moment, to be in the moment, right?
but now thousands of years later, and then what happened was they started following that map instead of
and it shifted now. How many degrees is it off now?
25.
25.
About 25 degrees off.
This is exactly what Kyrie was talking about. And then when you talk about the wobble, and that's what actually, which is, I think, beautiful in essence of the fact that nothing is like permanent, or like we don't, all it's just our little puny, our little bit of like consciousness we have, our little human minds, where we think that, we try to make everything into a thing, like, and it's like nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. It's always moving. It's always shifting, and that is energy in essence. So that's very interesting. I'm glad. So another question. Okay, so you said, I don't know, what was that person's name that?
Claudia Ptolemy,
that started the tropical
Greek and Egyptian astronomy.
So now, why was that grasped then? Do you think?
Well, they were using astrology then.
So why was it shut down in essence? The just looking up the astronomy, like actually just looking like the indigenous people, and
Well, we're talking about the Romans.
Ancients.
Okay, so can you tell us?
Yeah.
Let's touch a little. So, okay, I know this is why I want to go here. It's really important because and you're perfect to explain this. So, can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
How that, what that
I think that
looked like, and from your perspective.
Yeah, so I grew up as a Baptist preacher, started, my whole lineage are preachers. And, growing up, if I would have talked about astrology in the church,
you're the devil,
we all
man.
know this,
you need
right?
to be clean.
Yeah. So
You little witch.
yeah,
I definitely had that experience.
yes. So there is this disconnection that happened in our history that took Christ really out of astrology.
Right.
Right. And disconnected. It's just kind of like, I want to say this, how the Roman Catholics had you praying to the priest. You could only go to God through the priest.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what they did to astrology.
Gotcha.
Before that, it was available to everyone. They not only knew their astrology, they followed the original Christ aligned astrology follows your planets from conception through the 9 months of gestation to birth. And that was a very important blueprint to understand the child.
Makes sense.
And this is lost on humanity. And not only is it lost, but even in the astrology community, when I start to talk about sidereal, they get triggered.
Oh, it's a trigger. Yeah.
Right? It's a trigger. It's a trigger for the church and that. And I really want, I know now, my heart is here to help bridge those, to be a bridge for people to to see, actually, Jesus gave us astrology.
I love it.
And there's this blueprint that, and honestly, when you'll feel your sidereal charts.
Right.
You'll feel them in your heart, and there's this knowing. You just know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And that's what I was explaining when I was talking to Kyrie, and that's really where because I was doing my own test of what is this, when I was trying to, understand for myself, is sidereal, what is sidereal to me? What is this? It's everybody's talking about tropical, and but what I noticed is just by tuning into myself, and because of the work I do, obviously I stay very tuned in, I'm very sensitive, and so I was noticing that I would be feeling certain ways, picking up on the collective energies and things, and just feeling through my own, alignment, and then I would look at sidereal, or and then I'm like, oh. Well, this makes sense because this is actually what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling this whole thing everybody's talking about with the tropical and these events and all these things. I'm but I'm not in alignment, in my own energy and in my soul alignment. I'm not truly in that energy. Somebody might be feeling fire and I'm feeling water. You know what I mean? So things like that. Yeah. It's very much more soul based, I feel
soul alignment.
It's soul alignment.
Absolutely. And the tropical help us understand, I believe,
your identity,
our persona, right. Who we are conditioned to be on Earth.
Conditioned to be. So it's very matrix system oriented.
Yep, it's part of that.
Yeah. I mean, just to be blunt about it, it's kind of it really does. It's how we're programmed. Because literally, I wouldn't have known had I not read all that stuff. I guess anything can be a program in essence, but being a Libra and then my whole chart, I could told you my whole chart back and forth in tropical, and that's how I identified. And then I looked at sidereal, and I was I did a lot more feeling into it than I did, I wasn't just told it, and I still, I'm always going to question everything, and I think everybody out there should question everything all the time. That's how we actually gain new perception, and we actually expand and actually ignite, and it's integrating all of it. So here's another question. How does Mary Magdalene fit into that? Could you talk about that a little? Just a little. And just a little. Yeah. We'll have to do a whole nother. Yeah. We can do just certain topics.
Absolutely.
And then,
because I could go deep. Yeshua and Mary.
How would you just touch on that?
Well, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, in my heart, embody the divine feminine, the divine masculine.
Exactly.
And they were both wisdom keepers. They both held this knowledge. They both lived and with the Essenes, right? So she equally held the knowledge of this, and so she was equally a part of that. And it's interesting, even her books, her her manuscripts were not even found until in the last century or two. So we were not even ready for that. The divine feminine coming in.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that. It kind of goes back when I always take things back to that, just very elemental area, just science based, I guess. But it's like, the feminine essence is more of that unseen, unknown, unheard, and you feel her. That's the difference. Is you feel her.
Even in church growing up, I would fight for her, but I didn't have the knowing as far as like on paper.
Yeah, because on paper we're not told that.
I was taught that she was the prostitute. I was taught all these things, but when she would come up, it would be like I would get angry. I want to fight for her. I can remember slamming a door and just being like fighting for Mary.
No, I get it. Yeah, why do you think that is in the church, that the feminine's so suppressed? We're really gonna get cans of worms here.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, think about that. That's the visionary that she was also, if you start to really dive into Mary, she was holding the codes of, we are here to embody this. We are here to be the hands and feet of the Christ. We are here to be the visionaries, the creatives, like that. What is the feminine? And so that code was, we were disconnected from that, and we were disconnected from the mother. I just sat in ceremony all weekend with a group of sisters celebrating my dear sister Adina's baby that's coming into the world. And there's a lost art of ceremony and sisterhood. And so when they took Mary out of the equation of Yeshua and Mary of Magdalene, that was, I believe, part of that disconnection from the mother, the divine mother, the Mother Earth, the mother within us all. And so like it was so beautiful. This weekend we cried, we prayed together, we celebrated, we grieved the mother, we grieved for our own mothers, for all the mothers. So now we're here to bring it back.
Yeah.
We're here to bring that back. Sacred sisterhood.
Yeah. I can't. Oh, I'm just. That's what I'm so excited for. Is it's just like that's coming into this year. I think I've just been preparing, and I'm still always going to be preparing. I suppose there's always a new thing to come, but it's just Spirit has been so strong in me. Like we're bringing the feminine. We're bringing the ceremony back to every element. Every element. That's the thing is we forgot. Like even our relationships have a ceremony around everything you do. You have a moment together. Like have a ceremony about that. Like make it sacred. Like it brings it back to the heart, which is exactly what obviously every system out there is trying to tell us to get back to that heart. Is just. We got to do it. And these are the ways we do it. So.
And it isn't I want to speak into the fact that it isn't, that we're not here to bash men but it is it's like we're coming into union, into a sacred union together.
It's beautiful.
And it's so beautiful. It's so,
and it allows the men to be the men that they're actually designed to be, not like this projected masculine energy, and women also being this projected kind of femininity. It's all gotten so distorted, but the ceremony I think brings back that unison, the union, the harmony, family,
and
oh my
the mothers don't have to
love,
do it
like
all.
real love, like and it's not like leaving on the women destitute to be by themselves, especially the divine women, these women who really carry the code, they carry that essence. A lot of time you'll find these are the ones alone a lot. It's not a coincidence. I don't think so.
I definitely grieved that this weekend.
I feel
being
you.
a single mother and what that meant for me, and that I didn't get the birth that I wanted because I was in West Virginia at the time, and I wanted to have a water birth, and there was no doulas there. What is that about?
Right.
And that. And Spirit was still moved to give me the right doctor that was just so beautiful and just a beautiful soul. But even I've now come to understand my postpartum depression was connected to that I wasn't able to have a sovereign birth in the way I wanted and hoped to have, and that in that way, and that I didn't have that sacred sisterhood.
Yeah.
But here we come 21 years
Yeah.
later, and what did I get to do this weekend? I got to give that to a sister.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And like,
And I've been, as you say, doula. It's funny because I was a doula once for a friend years back, and that was like, for me, that was the biggest, like, I actually lost a job over that. I was in labor with her for like 36 hours. Ooh. It was crazy, but I was in it with her and her husband, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And that was, for me, it was like, I am so committed to just, I mean, I obviously haven't birthed a child myself, but I wanted to see this, feel through it, like be there and be with her. I just, that was just it. And I think, yeah, we get together and do it, how much easier. And like, I just think, yeah, the support system is so important. I know if I was to have a child, I would have to have my sisters there with me. There, you know, it might not even be like, Mom, I hope you're not listening, but Mom's got us outside. I'll bring my sisters in. No, I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't know. I love you, Mom. You'll be there. But yeah, I mean, it's so important. And yeah, the support, all of it. So now that, since we've been talking a little bit about masculine and feminine and union energy, so obviously we know, some of y'all may not, but Mars and Venus have been running together currently and are still, how long are they? Well, they just, conjunct. Okay, so yesterday.
So the 6th.
Okay.
They really went conjunct.
Yes.
In Sidereal. Like, so, yeah.
How long are they going to be conjunct?
They're going to move together. Oh, I need to look at a chart to know that. But
that's okay.
They are moving together for a minute.
Tell us about that.
And I'm going to actually, after this, I'm going to really give a transmission, and I'll write something up so we can have like a full transmission that we can't go into here fully for y'all. But yeah, it's, if you look at what's happening on the planet right now, right? Okay. When Venus and Mars come together, it's potent. And it is, so we're talking about Venus, who is an illuminated being, an illuminated planet. She is represents the goddess of love. Yes. She represents the feminine. And I am a daughter of Venus. Taurus, Libra, like second house, like I am.
I love it. I have Venus. A lot of Venus, and she runs through me.
The artist. So the archetypes of the Venus are the artist, the muse, connector. It's love. Yeah. Venus shows us, where does our heart lie? What lights up our heart? What's our heart drawn to? We're here to embody love.
I love it.
And then we have Mars, who is the archetype of the warrior, the strategist. And so Mars can bring up all of our shadows, right? Asks us to get into alignment with things, to get things right. So really, it's a beautiful time, depending on where your frequency is and where you're putting your energy in right now. Let's talk about peace and war. Yeah. So they're together right now. And so the prayer collectively, which I love that we're talking about this today, because that's where are we going to put our prayers? Where are we going to put our thoughts, our energy, our vibration? Into the peace or the war? Into Venus or to Mars? Yeah. Because we all have the ability to shift this. But yes, Mars can bring up war. Absolutely. When we look back in history. Yeah. Mars definitely plays a part in when we've had
Mars
wars.
is definitely fiery. Fiery energy. I got a lot of that too.
So very interesting. It invites us then to like really look at ourselves to see where we're projecting our energy.
And then bringing it into that Venus.
And not projecting it onto other people. So this is another thing when we look at sidereal versus tropical. Then we can look and say, I've really been angry lately. Or like, oh my gosh, why did I yell at my child like that? Or, something that's going on. So we can say, ooh, it's my own shadows that are coming up right now. Yeah. And Mars, just like how can we not say that the planets don't affect us especially living in Charleston, look at the moon, how the moon affects. So Mars will bring up our shadows, our deepest fears.
Absolutely.
Our deepest hurts and things. And are we going to project those on other people?
Or are we gonna... Absolutely, no. And I could say even that's definitely come up for me currently, and definitely seen it spewing out around me, that's for sure. Um, but in that, I feel like it's such a balance and such a, like, I mean, I'm feeling really good, like, the past 2 days. I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, and then, so we are in Aquarius.
Okay.
So Aquarius is the water bearer. We originally, in the cosmic Christ, it was the pouring the water, right?
Right, the water
So we're
bearer.
talking about pouring the grace of God out into everything that we do. Also, Aquarius, the 2 lines mean as above, so below.
Oh.
On earth as in heaven was the original in the Lord's Prayer. And the original Aramaic, like, that is the we're here to bring heaven on earth. And Aquarius is here to look to the future, but first looking to the past. So we went through Capricorn, and the goat that's, like, trudging up the mountains. How many of us have been in that last month? Like,
Yeah.
And then now the water's flowing.
Yeah,
so
I'm
it's
flowing.
time to
I'm
birth.
feeling my flow.
It's a creative time, and it's also brotherhood. Aquarius is a sign of brotherhood, sisterhood,
Yes.
and prepares us for Pisces, where the sun moves into Pisces on the 15th.
15th, we're moving into Pisces.
The 15th, we move into Pisces, and then that's the sign of the Christ.
Right. So, and we'll still have Venus and Mars are still going to be conjunct at that point.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's something to look at.
So it is the time to birth things, create,
yes, and that's
co-create.
There's a lot of co-creation going on in my world lately.
Yeah.
And then the idea of it is just like it just keeps kind of, things keep lining up. Like we were talking about today, just the, like, ready to switch it up, ready to, like, do, like,
It's time for action.
Action.
It's ready
yes,
to go.
I feel a lot of that fiery.
All the seeds we've been holding in our hearts. Now it's time to move. I feel like I'm ready to get out of my cave that I've been in, creating, and now it's time to go. And we start seeing then when we really are in alignment, so we know ourselves.
Yes. Alignment. What does that look like? Because for me, I definitely know. I mean, that's basically the energy I would like to help everybody get into is alignment. But tell me your viewpoint on alignment. What is that for you?
That's, like, really what I'm here to embody.
Absolutely.
As a soul guide, is to just be a mirror, both in the transmission of your soul's blueprint, which is some of the work that I do, and then just through the transmission of mirroring people in my heart to help us be in alignment.
Yes.
Alignment with soul, alignment with Christ, alignment with our higher selves, alignment with our purpose. And once we are in alignment, it's like,
It's incredible.
and we focus on that. It's like, now that I'm doing the Sidereal human design and the gene keys and the astrology and that, it's just like knowing my soul blueprint in that way. Oh, holy hearts. Everything's just like been in alignment, and I'm focused on that. I'm not distracted.
Yeah.
I'm not distracted anymore. I'm not disconnected. I'm really in alignment, and I'm just allowing God to flow in and through me in that way.
And you feel it, right? Like, how do you? To me, alignment feels like really good in my body. There's always this, like, I'm in. Yeah, you're just
You
in
are
tune.
you work.
Yeah, working the
frequency,
frequency. So it's
like,
pretty. Yeah, it's
get
something
the
I
soul
know
chills.
immediately. Yeah, and when something's not, then it's kind of like, Now that's not to be. It takes. I think it really takes getting into your knowingness and clean ship and all that sort of thing, because I mean, you could say that in, like, not such a good place and be like, oh, he just had bad vibes. They had bad vibes, but it's like, with the whole projecting. Either you're projecting or you actually have this discernment of your energy, and there's a difference there. So I'm just clarifying that difference for whatever reason. But yeah, the alignment, when you feel it. That's how spirit tends to, like, work with me. I just know, I feel it inside, all over. Feels great. So let's see, where are we at? So if I was to ask you, like, one question, this is going to be a very simple question. You answer it however you want. But my friend actually asked me this on a podcast, so I've been asking people. So what is the solution?
Yeah. Well, if you would asked me this 7 years ago, I'd have said something different.
What would you?
I was such a hardcore activist then.
Right.
I was like going to save the world. I was Savior Sarah.
Yes.
And then came
I've been
Standing
there.
Rock. And, I was like, went to
Been
all the
there,
marches,
yeah.
been on the front line. Like, I was activist Sarah. And then came Standing Rock, and my heart got broken open to be in alignment in a different way, to pray in a different way, and to listen in a different way. And I'm now an alchemist. You know, like I realized it's my own alchemy. Like, what can I control? There was like so many things were out of my control, but I was carrying the grief of the world. I was carrying the suffering, and I was thinking that I could fix all these things. And that was reflected in relationships and everything. I was like fixing everything. And now, then I realized, and it really was one of my Lakota elders, or a looking horse, that told me to go home and heal my family and heal myself, and embody that myself. And so that's why I say peace within me creates peace in the world, because I can only control me.
Yes.
So really, the more I just went into what's the solution is to look within our own shadows.
Yeah.
Where are we projecting?
Ding, 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 ding,
Where are we projecting our own wounds onto the world?
Yes.
Because we all are one. It is one collective field. So my shadows are being projected all over the universe. So the best way that I can change the world is to change myself.
Absolutely. I love it. That was consistently everybody she asked in general, in their own unique way, stated the same exact thing. Yeah. The solution is inward. It's really in taking that responsibility. Really, the responsibility is in essence everything, because that's how we actually move things, change things, when we're like, oh, you know, maybe this isn't all about that person over there. Maybe this has a lot more to do with me. That's how we grow. It's how we learn, and that's how we accept. Really,
and with our families, like I really just came home from Standing Rock and have been devoted to my own family, looking at each little wound I have within my own bloodline.
Goodness, yes.
And my closest relationships, and being devoted to loving those relationships, and working on where I needed to forgive and be forgiven and take responsibility.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because I think that is a lot of times we overlook, or people will overlook, and I've heard this in my own, just in working with people, but maybe they're so disconnected from even what might have transpired between them and their parents, or like what was it? They think, well, my life was fine. That was good. It was all good. I mean, I've heard that several times. I've had sensed a lot of frustration from people when they're like, was I traumatized? I mean, I don't know. What is that? Because they're just, you can become so disconnected from it, and we don't have things that help. Like, I mean, we eat bad, if you're eating bad foods, if you're like not, energetically maintaining, or maybe substance abuse, things of that nature, drinking, smoking, like we just become very disassociated from our emotions and our essence. And but when we start actually observing it and sitting with it and checking ourselves on like why we respond in certain ways, why do we do this certain thing all the time, what is this pattern about me, because we could develop patterns consistently, right? So looking at your family, so important, or whoever you were raised by, if it was the wolf, go find the wolf. I know, I was kidding. I got a lot of wolves that raised my ass, but no, all those things definitely shape our subconscious and how we act and how we respond. And so I don't know where we got onto that, but subconscious. So tell us a little bit about, a little bit, we'll dive into some of this on another podcast maybe, but what you do, like, because you do the
Alchemy.
Divine Alchemy. Tell us a little bit about Divine Alchemy, just briefly.
Yeah, so in the past year, I've transitioned into this new offerings with Divine Alchemy, because the alchemist came through, and word divine kept coming up, of God, right? And alchemy is transformation. And I kept thinking, who am I? What am I? What am I to do? Well, I'm here to die and be reborn myself over and over again. Yeah. That's all on my chart. Constantly death. And so now that I know that, I just surrender to the death when it comes. Welcome it.
Exactly.
Let's go.
It's like a weekly thing over here.
Let's go. Because I know what happens on the other side of that. And so I'm ready. I don't resist it anymore.
You flow with it.
Yep. And that's
very important.
And so divine alchemy is a transmission that I share where you receive your sidereal astrology, aligning Christ. So it's a little different than how we talk about astrology. For instance, Cancer, instead of being the crab with the hard shell, is the rib cage of the Christ that holds the heart of Christ. Oh. So we're talking about deep nurturing
the heart
of Christ. Wow, right?
Yeah,
so different.
I had this I had this experience I was going to tell you about.
So good. Okay, and so when that came through, we're talking about the work of like Rudolf Steiner, and so you receive that in the divine alchemy, and then we go into your sidereal human design, which is different than the human design online. Yeah. And then I call soul human design, soul alignment, and then we dive into your gene keys through the sidereal, and it's really a transmission of knowing who you are, knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your gifts are, where your shadows are. It's like a blueprint to really look at oneself. And then I also have Monet and I together, my daughter, share family alchemy, which is like really diving into this with your entire family, to know yourself and love yourself and be devoted to transforming your family. Yeah.
I love that you say it's transformative, because that is, I think I don't know about you, but I'm done with the healing. It's time to transform, damn it. Like, I mean, that's what we're here to do.
Alchemize our shadows into our gifts.
Absolutely, yeah. Healing, you get stuck in that healing cycle, you'll be doing it the rest of your life, you know, and not really just like beating around on the surface of things. But yeah, transform. So we'll have you come, maybe we need to do a podcast probably on just the human design that you do, since you do this whole different thing you got going on. Because I want to hear about it too. I'm actually excited about that. And of course more sidereal talk, because we want to open those doors for people, new avenues. I know I've introduced some of this at some of my sound events here and there, just to kind of, we're already in the realm of opening up and expanding and exploring new parts of ourselves. So why not check out Sidereal, right? Or just start there. Let's just start there. And just see what else is going on. And that reminds me. Okay, I'm gonna hold off on that. We'll do that in a. I was start going down mole holes here. So much. Okay. So yeah, we'll end this one here, but we will have Sarah back for sure. Thank you so much for coming today, and
my honor, my pleasure. Yes. Grateful to share my heart. Yeah, and inspiring everybody right now to just really tune into that frequency of love.
Yes.
Yeah, our prayers, our collective prayers are so powerful. So if we feel like things are out of control right now, or the suffering of the world, the unknown feels like too much, turn it off. It's okay to turn off the news. It's okay to tune off and tune in, and really just tune into that, our own heart's vibration. And
gratitude. Be thankful. It's how we open this podcast. It's how we'll send it out. But gratitude. Make a list every day, or just spend a minute or 2 minutes and just state all the things you're grateful for, and feel into how that raises your vibration. Just that simple practice. It's good stuff. So I'm going to send it off here. So as within, so without, as above, so below. Love is truly all that is. So be it. Wholeness.
Thank you for tuning into the Awaken Sponda podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please stay tuned, because we got a lot more in store. And personally, I am really excited about it. Also, if you'd like to come to any local events, check the website, www.awakensponda.com. As well, if you'd like to book any privates or any small group sessions in state or out of state, you can email at awakensponda@gmail.com. That's it. I wish you well. I wish you a wonderful day. Wholeness.